So it was a dark and stormy night shortly after we moved in, and we kept hearing this large banging noise in the middle of the night. Kendra got super excited thinking the house was haunted. And it turns out it was just another project.
Greetings from Fairfield. We are Richard and Kendra, and we are restoring this cool old Victorian house. We found this old Queen Anne for sale on the internet and decided to buy it. So we moved from the West Coast to the cornfields of Iowa. So join us as we explore and restore this 1896 Victorian mansion.
Hello, greetings from Fairfield. Welcome back to the channel. We're taking a pause from working in the parlor since it's a little preoccupied for the holidays right now. And so we're going to do some work up here on the third floor, because the one thing we thought would be really cool would be next year when we do the our haunted house tour and have guests come to the house. They'd sort of wind their way through our house haunt, and they'd find their way up here on the third floor, which we'll have decorated in really cool old 1950s retro Halloween decor, and have some fun games and maybe some pumpkin carving and other fun activities for the kiddos. So the third floor ballroom. First things first, when we ran our tour videos, then we had several comments about telling us how this is not a ballroom. A ballroom, not to be confused with Hollywood movies and the likes of places like New York and the big city with the Vanderbilts and the Astors with the big ballroom dances. We're in Fairfield, Iowa, here in the Midwest, and a ballroom would be described as this.
A ballroom is a room that has enough space for many people to dance. Traditionally, a ballroom has either a hardwood or marble floor. Most private houses are built without ballrooms these days, but it was once common for a grand home or mansion to include a special room for throwing dance parties.
We also have the newspaper entry, our first newspaper entry of the open house from 1897, that gives us this bit of information.
From the Fairfield Tribune, March 3, 1897, at the new home of Mr. James A. Beck. Mrs. Etta and Lulu Stauffer gave a large party on Tuesday evening at the home of their uncle, Mr. James Beck, of this city. It was practically the house warming, as this elegant home has only recently been completed and furnished, and this is the first large company given since. A large number of the young married people, and a sprinkling of those of mature age, comprised the company entertained. The beautiful home was brilliantly illuminated with electricity and tastefully decorated with cut flowers and palms, ferns, and other potted plants. The third floor was given up to dancing, which continued during the evening, greatly enjoyed by the young people, the home orchestra furnishing delightful music from an alcove adjoining.
And that's just one of several entries that we've found here at the house that talks about various parties and dances and orchestras that were likely set up right here in this alcove that performed and played here at the house on this third floor. So by definition, it's a ballroom. And it's also the only room in the house that has nice hardwood floors, which was also part of that definition. Since all the other floors were that pine that we saw earlier, we have hardwood floors. I think they're maple, not 100% sure, so feel free to correct me if I'm wrong there. Though the floors have seen better days, it is on our list, but it'll be last on our list to refinish these floors.
What's the plan, man?
The plan? The plan is to take care of some of the cracks in the walls. Previous owners over the years, had already been kind of doing some of the work here, but we need to finish filling in these cracks. And we're going to paper. We're going to put some liner up there. We're going to wallpaper and really start bringing this room back. Obviously, the floors are last. It cracks me up to watch people on YouTube buy an old house, and the first thing they do is rip up the carpet to discover brand new, really nice hardwood floors. They sand them, they refinish them, they look beautiful. And then they start ripping the plaster down off the ceiling and just making a big mess on their nice, beautiful floor. Floors last. We're actually going to start in the tower. We're going to start here, which kind of brings me to my very first project, was getting these tower windows open. We just kind of moved in and we were hearing this loud banging at night, like one dark, stormy night. We couldn't figure out what this banging was. Kidder thought the house was haunted, and it turns out that these tower windows were nailed shut. They were siliconed shut, and then there was a big piece of plexiglass siliconed on the outside of the window framing, and it had come loose. And so in the wind, it was just going back and forth, banging against the house. And, so it wasn't haunted. It was just a repair that needed to be made. And so we started struggling with these guys, finally got them open.
Hey, honey, looks like you got the window open.
Do a little discovery. I said, you want to know how to rip out a window that's been siliconed into place?
Yeah?
You rip it out on a day that's 110 degrees.
Well, they say it's 96, but it feels like 108. Ooh, it is toasty up here. Oh, wow.
And wow, what a difference it made, because we had hardly any airflow up here at all. The other windows were also nailed shut, which I've also got open at this point. But all we had was just the little screen door window off the balcony was the only airflow we had up here. So once we got these open, it made just a huge difference. We need to get maybe some custom, like maybe some pop-in screens or something, so we could pull the pins out of these, drop the windows, and put in some nice copper, maybe some nice copper mesh. It's supposed to, detract insects and flies and stuff. So maybe that'll help with that aspect as well. So wallpaper, we're going to be wallpapering this room. I originally wanted to use this wallpaper. This was a small remnant that we had left over from previous owners that had done one of the bedrooms in this, and it just really looked fantastic. I thought it looked great in here. It's a metallic copper with a burgundy striped embossed print. It just looks fantastic. But unfortunately, I have not been able to find this anywhere. I think it's been discontinued. I'm not 100% sure, but I really like the sort of like William Morris kind of, scroll vine motif there again, like what we had, and it just looked really, really nice up here. I thought it would have really, really been a nice touch. So that's the basic direction we're going for in here. We got to get paint stripped off of these benches that have been painted, and we need to do the light. The boob light has got to go. We were told by previous owners that had converted this space in the 1970s into this really cool little book nook, where you could just come in, throw down a beanbag chair, get a book. They had told us that it had a old Tiffany chandelier light that hung down over the card table, and lots of stories about from back in the day that the men would play cards in here while the ladies, I guess, did the dancing out there, which doesn't make any sense, but that's the story we have. And so couldn't afford a Tiffany lamp, but we did get the next best thing. And so we're starting with this. So we're going to cut some time lapse and get this party started. Well, got it home. Took a lot longer than it should have. There's no box up there. It's just screwed into the lathe with two wires coming out of it. There's no gas pipe up there either, which means the tower never had gas lighting, unlike the main ballroom in there, which did have gas. We'll likely have to take this down again to readjust the chain height. It's a little low. Needs to come up a little higher, so I'll have to shorten this up. We'll take this back down when we redo the ceiling and paint it. Looking at some textured, patterned, embossed papers for the ceiling, and we'll make all the final adjustments. But other than that, all we need now is a nice antique Victorian card table and a couple of friends.